Hey y'all, Derek with the Food Boat. We are back here at the North Charleston Boat Show at the Convention Center, and we've got a guest that y'all have seen out here before. Everyone say hey to Fred Neuville. He's been out here before, and he is going to be showing us cooking up a flounder recipe. I'm not even going to try to say it, Fred, because I've butchered it a few times.
So we have a flounder to show you how to fillet one. If the fish has the head on, then you want to look at the eyes and the gills. The eyes need to be clear, and the gills need to be red. And there needs to be a slime to the gills. That shows how fresh it is. The next thing is if you purchase a fish that has no head, make sure it's firm and has no aroma. If it has no aroma, then you know it's fresh, or it smells, this sounds kind of weird, but it smells clean. If you're purchasing a fillet, same thing is you want to check to make sure that the fish is firm, smell, make sure it smells clean and fresh, firm to the touch, and nice color, okay, and not slimy. Now here you can tell that we have two different kinds of flounder. They're the same fish, all depends upon what they eat as to what color they come. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fillet this big guy. I have two types of knives. I have a fillet knife, okay, and I have a boning knife. Now, as you can tell, the fillet knife is a lot longer than the boning knife. I prefer to work with a shorter knife. It handles better for me. Two ways you can fillet a flounder. You can fillet it this way, coming in towards the backbone, okay, or you can go down the backbone and fillet out. I prefer to use the backbone as a guideline. So I find it right here, come straight down, just like that, okay? And then you're just gonna fillet it. You're using the bones as a guideline. Just like that, okay? So all I did was just go right down the back, follow the bones. If you can fillet a fish, you can fillet a deer, you can fillet a bird, a chicken, you can fillet anything, because all you're doing is following the natural bone structure of that particular item, whatever you're doing. So we're gonna do the same thing here, come right down the middle. Now if I were filleting a chicken or something of that nature, I would allow the meat to fall away from the bone, so I'm also using the weight of that product to help me take it off the bones. Now we're going to flip him over, same exact thing. Now you can tell that one side is the upside and one side is the downside by the color of the skin, how they swim, where they sit on the bottom of the floor of the ocean or estuary, wherever you catch them. You have several different types of flounder. You have a summer flounder, a winter flounder, and a European flounder. Caught basically all over the East Coast and also in Europe. So that's how you fillet a flounder. Now, if I were to use this for a stock, like a broth to flavor sauces or whatnot, what I would do is I would cut this in half or break it. There we go. Okay, because you see, that's where all the gelatin is going to come from. That's where the flavor is inside the bone structure. Okay, so I would save that. I'm not going to save it today because I'm not making a stock, but grits take a long time to cook. It took 3 hours. I took Cooper River Farms Applewood smoked bacon, which is absolutely delicious bacon. Cooked it, water half and half, butter. You can never have enough butter. I always add a little extra. And then you cook the bacon separately, and you chop the bacon up, throw it all in there with the water and the butter, and if you want heavy cream, I use half and half just because it's lighter, because I add more butter. And then you cook it till it's done, and then you finish the grits, which these are Marsh Hen Mill grits, which are absolutely delicious, local, Edisto Beach, near Edisto Beach. And you cook them until they're done. These took about 3 hours. And then you finish it with a little bit of lemon, parsley, and salt. I made these last night and I'm heating them up. What I did was I put a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan just to loosen them up a little bit so that they get nice and hot. And once they get hot, that liquid will reduce out. Okay, and the water also helps the grits not stick to the bottom of the pan. We are going to skin the flounder, and I'm going to skin my flounder. I'm going to heat up some brown butter. What that brown butter is, this is just clarified butter. Clarifying butter, what you need to do is you need to get your pan hot, put your butter in, melt the butter, and then the milk solids separate from the butter. Okay, you skim those milk solids off. There's also some at the bottom, so you strain it, and you don't ever strain all of it because you don't want the liquid at the bottom either. What that does is that brings up your burning point, so it won't burn. You're essentially just cooking with oil, butter, oil. Now, I browned this a little bit. You can tell that it has a slight color to it. It has a nutty, here, smell that. It has a nutty aroma and a nutty flavor. The dish itself, so the flounder will be sauteed in this. And saute means high heat, quick cook. It'll be sauteed in this, so therefore it'll give it a nutty flavor. And it'll go very nicely with these ingredients right here, which are plooched herbs. Now what ploosh means is just picked. You just pick them. That's it, ploosh. It's just a fancy word. These are fiends herbs. So what fiends herbs are a mixture of tarragon, parsley, chives, and chervil. Then we have capers, and we have Niçoise olives, thus flounder Niçoise, okay, or Kalamata olives. They're pitted, and fresh tomato, and of course, lemon. You gotta keep stirring our grits. You gotta keep stirring them, otherwise they will stick to the bottom. There we go. Yeah, they're getting nice and hot. You can buy this in the store. It's called ghee. It's very expensive, so why not just make it yourself? So we're gonna put a little bit of this in here and get that hot, that ghee, or brown butter. Now we're gonna skin our flounder. You wanna make sure you get rid of these little pin bones right here. You can use the skin if you want. Skin is edible, just make sure that your fish has been scaled, because scales they get in your teeth, and they're very chewy. You can use its skin on, but I prefer for this dish to use its skin off. So what you do is you just start right like that, hold it. So I'm gonna do this bad boy this way. So I'm holding the fish down and just using the meat as a guideline. Okay? Let's see if this one works better. I'll get rid of those pin bones. If I were to use the skin, what I would do is I would score it. As a matter of fact, I'll just saute one up with the skin. Now, as you can tell, I added a little bit too much water to the bottom of that pan, so we're just gonna let it cook out a little bit. I'm gonna throw it in a bigger pan. So what I'm gonna do, since I added just a touch too much water, we're gonna put these in here. Now that I have more surface area, it'll reduce down quicker. So this piece, we use it with the skin. Now if you use it with the skin, you're gonna wanna present it skin side up. You want that skin nice and crispy. Now if you serve it skin side down, then it's gonna steam and your skin is not gonna be crispy. Okay, so I'm gonna just score this lightly. If I weren't scoring it, the fish would curl up. This will allow it to stay flat. Again, you want to take off these little, this is inedible. Very tough. Make sure you don't have any bones in there. With those bones, if I was making a stock or a broth, I'd use the skin as well in that extra flavor. So the reason why that cutting board didn't slip is because I have a moist towel underneath. Otherwise, it would be sliding all over the place. But with that, it stays right there. Environment with my mise en place. French means everything in its place. Like this. This is my mise en place. Everything in its place for this particular dish. So these are nice and hot. So, flounder Niçoise. This is a dish that I created for the Fat Hen when I owned it. Fat Hen was a Lowcountry French restaurant. Grits are very Lowcountry. So I wanted to add a French element, and thus the flounder Niçoise with all these ingredients. It's a very French dish. Yeah, they're thickening up nicely. I'm going to season the flounder with a little bit of salt. But you got to take into consideration that we have very salty ingredients. We have capers and olives. So you don't want to over season it, but you do want to season it in order to bring out the fullest flavor. I never use iodized salt. It's very processed, and I know this is going to sound kind of corny, but it's very salty. So I use only red box kosher salt, a lot less salty and more flavorful. So what we're going to do is we're just going to season these guys lightly. Now what we're going to do is we're going to saute. Got my brown butter nice and hot. Okay. See how that's sizzling? We're going to turn it up. That's exactly what you want. You want to hear it cook. There we go. It's kind of like pan frying. But saute means high heat, quick cook. That's the color you want. These next ones will be a little bit browner. Now when you cook, you always want to, especially with meat, you always want to make sure that you let your meat rest. All the molecules are bouncing all around. If you were to take a piece of meat, like a piece of beef, and you were to cook it and then you were to cut it right away, all the juices would run out, all the blood would run out. But if you let it rest for a little bit, all those molecules stop bouncing around and they go back to where they were, and you slice it and it's nice and it has more flavorful. You have a lot better chance of something drying out if you cut it right away. All right. Brown butter. Skin side up first, because that's the side that we're going to present. Remember, you want your fish to no aroma when you buy it. You see that it has a little brown color? That's the caramelization of the sugars in that product, therefore bringing out more flavor. That's why you want color in whatever you cook. Like a roasted chicken, you want that skin to be nice and brown. A piece of beef, like when you grill it, you don't grill it so that it's gray, you grill it so that it has nice marks, right? That brings out the natural flavors. It caramelizes the natural sugars in that product. A little bit more brown butter. Now we're gonna cook the skin. That's actually as high as it can go. If I were cooking in a restaurant, what I'd do is sear it on one side, flip it over, and just set the pan up top until I'm ready to pick it up, until I'm ready to plate the order. And then therefore it'll carry over cook. Carry over cooking means, like if you cook a piece of beef, it keeps cooking, exactly. So you cook it to 145, it's gonna go to 155. I would never add flour because they absorb a lot of liquid. I have had to add liquid when they get too thick. It just boils out. We're gonna crisp that skin up just a little bit. Take that out. Just a little bit more. And then we're gonna make our sauce. You can see that that's gotten a lot thicker. Yeah, just from cooking out. Olives. Watch it. Capers. Tomatoes. Assemble our fish. Now, you see this liquid that we have, we're going to add that right back into our sauce, because that's flavor. We don't want to lose any flavor. So we're going to add some lemon juice. Now, when you squeeze a lemon, when you get the juice, you want to press it down, roll it. That releases all the juice from inside the lemon. If you don't have a strainer, just use your hand. Squeeze it right in there. Now we're going to add our herbs. Again, these are plushed herbs, or picked. Whenever you cook, you always want to use some acid, whether it's lemon juice, wine, vinegar, whatever, because what acids do is they cleanse your palate and allow you to taste more of the flavors, and they also bring out all the flavors in that dish that you're making. lemon juice help that brown butter emulsify. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're just going to go like that. And there you have it. Flounder Niçoise. We good?
Yep.